Valorant's been out for a little more than a week now, and word is that the ranked beta ladder will be upon us any day. So with that in mind, I thought it'd be useful to make an economy guide for the second round and beyond, since that's when your options really start to open up. So if you're gunning for the Valorant rank in the Valorant ranked closed beta, let's go. Okay, so first things first, the basic numbers. You get 1900 for a loss, 3000 for a win, 200 per kill, and 300 for a plant on the attacker side, and that's for the entire team. So at the beginning of the second round, the winners will have 3000 at least, and the losers will have 1900. So to outline all the possible outcomes of your decision in the second round, I've made this quick spreadsheet that you can find linked in the description. Let's get right into it. So I'll just go over like the general structure of this. Each of the four tables is supposed to represent the situation you find yourself in. So for example, this table is after a pistol round loss where you've decided to save. This represents the credits you'll have if you win after this decision and the credits you'll have after you lose. And so, for example, you can see that if you save after a pistol loss to above 1500, even if you lose, you guarantee yourself a Vandal and heavy armor because your next loss bonus will be 2400. And this column represents your opponent's buy. So if they full bought after their win, since you lost, to down to less than 500 credits, or if they partial bought and saved, approximately 1,000. And the cells in the table represent the outcome for both of these decisions. So if you lost first round and saved, but then you win the second round, you'll leave your opponents with only 2400 or 2900, depending on what they've chosen to do, and put yourself at a plus 2100 credit advantage, or plus 1600. So yeah, that's the general way this is set up, and I know it's not the most decipherable chart, but this legend will help a little, hopefully. Anything closer to green is good, red bad. Yeah, so if we take a look at the loss tables, so if you've lost the pistol round, you've narrowed your choices to these two tables. You can either choose to save or to force, which is to spend down to 0 credits. And so yeah, after a loss, I think the reason why most people like to save is you really can't lose going into the third round. So if your opponent's full bot and you saved, you'll actually be up 400, which is almost a full set of abilities, even if you lose. And if they partial bot, you'll still only be down 100 going into the third round. And if you win after saving, you've put yourself at, massive advantages. You'll have gun and ability advantages in that case. In fact, you'll even have the ability to pass someone the op. So yeah, have them buy heavy armor and give them the op. And they can get you any gun you don't mind losing to the opponent, since you won't have armor. So forcing in the second round doesn't even give you an advantage, because your opponents will still be able to outspend you. Either way, if they partial, they'll still have more utility than you. And you open yourself up to repeating the deficit you were at during the second round into the third. Whereas if you save, you will guarantee that in the third round, no matter what, it'll be an even fight again. So I think your loss decision is pretty easy, because by forcing, you're not even at an advantage, since they'll always be able to spend more than the 1900 that you spend. But for the winning side, I think the decisions are more subtle between the full buy and the partial buy. So the full buy in most cases would be heavy armor and Spectre, which is 2600. And then your utility usually takes up the rest of your 3000 win bonus. So yeah, that would be a full buy. And a partial would be saving around 1000, so buying down to 1000. And again, I think saving is the way to go. The prominent reason being that if you full buy and you win against an opponent's save, you'll actually be at a 400 cred disadvantage in the third round. So they'll be at 3900. So you'll be down a full set of util even after winning if your opponents make the right move. And if you lose, you'll be at a disadvantage. And if they saved, you'll be at a massive disadvantage because they can afford an operator now. Oh yeah, one thing to note would be that, these tables are just the rows of these ones rearranged and from a different perspective, the winner's perspective. But I feel it still helps to compare having it rearranged this way. Okay, so then what would be the advantage of partial buying? This way, if you win against a save, you guys will be dead even. Almost dead even. You'll have 100 advantage, which is, one minor ability. And if you lose against a force buy, you'll also be dead even for the third round. Yeah, so you eliminated these two trouble situations. And in both cases, you'll still have some advantage. Perhaps only a utility advantage with a partial buy, depending if they force or not. But yeah, again, you mitigate these really bad, full util down situations. And yeah, so this doesn't take into account the differences between attacker and defender. Attackers get the team bonus of 300 each for a plant. If you get a plant and you win, maybe this would be the way to go, to full spend, because these two outcomes will have been mostly offset by your plants. And that might be more worth it than, having the minor plant advantage in round 3. And this also doesn't take into account the, solo carry superstar, aim star. He may very well have enough to buy a Vandal in the third round and heavy armor, in which case it's probably better to full spend. Just because when you partial buy on the third round, if they save, you have to buy again to be on an even playing field, even if you've won. So the earlier you can buy the Vandal and keep your hands on it, of course, the better off you'll be. So yeah, by partial buying, you save being at a full utility deficit in these two cells. And more importantly, you become in control of your own fate, because again, if you win and full spend, even if you win the second round, your opponents can choose to put you in a disadvantage at the third round by saving their second round, no matter what. So yeah, I hope this gives people a better idea on what to do in the second round and how that'll affect the rest of your game. And if you've noticed anything I've missed or options I've overlooked, please leave them in the comments down below so we can all play Valorant better. As always, leave a like and subscribe or I'll ban you from my Roblox server. See ya.